Nike shares are down 20% after reporting earnings. Check this out, guys. Nike, ticker symbol NKE, is down 19.98% during normal trading hours and an additional 0.15% after reporting earnings. But it's not just their earnings that really upset investors, it's their guidance. And I've said this so many times in the past before. Remember, it's really important when a company reports earnings and if they exceed market's expectation, but often enough, the guidance is more important. That's of what's to come. Their projections for up and coming quarters, or for Nike's example, up and coming years. It says Nike stock sinks after company projects larger sales decline than expected in 2025. So what exactly is going on? Their projection of sales and for revenue are expected to go down in 2025. And I don't know if this kind of supports the case of you go woke, you go broke, but it's definitely not looking good for Nike. And it says Nike stock nearly fell 20% on Friday after the retailer said that its expected revenue is set to decline more than it's previously thought in the up and coming year. Now, the thing that really stood out to me is that Nike exceeded market's expectation for earnings per share, but they did miss revenue. Now, their earnings per share was expected to be 0.66, so 66 cents per share, but they came in at 0.99. Now, that's good, but the revenue just wasn't there. And if you look at the past few years from 2021 to now, you can see that revenue has kind of flatlined. And the thing that really stood out to me, the big question is, do we buy the dip, right? Anytime something drops 20%, that's the question I always ask myself. I can't speak for you guys, but this is what Yahoo Finance had to say. It says, we doubt many investors will view this as a buy the pullback event. We think that Nike stock is potentially just going to stay within this range is pretty much what they were expressing. Now, the thing that really stood out to me is when you look at this and the lack of growth, I want to remind you, when a company is not growing and it's publicly traded, if a company isn't showing signs of continuous growth quarter after quarter and year after year, it's not attractive to investors, because why would investors want to park their money in a company that is lacking growth? Now, it still makes a ton of money, don't get me wrong. Like, obviously, $10.6 billion per quarter is an insane amount of money, but they're not growing. And that's been the biggest issue for Nike recently. So Wall Street has been closely watching Nike's product pipeline as the Oregon-based company works to fend off competition of its core athletic wear. Now, again, one of the things that really stood out to me is that we just made 52-week lows for Nike. A lot of people are not expecting for Nike to naturally begin to recover because of this lack of growth and this lack of projection of growth. So I wanted to see what you guys had to think. We were very bullish up until 2021. And if we go back to this chart, you can see that that's pretty much when revenue began to peak. Now, if that's when revenue began to peak, now it makes sense on why, if we haven't seen signs of growth, why we've seen a steady decline, right? Well, you can be like, oh, Ricky, look, back in 2021, by the end, we were right around $10 to $11 billion. We're at $12 billion. Why are we lower? Well, again, that's when we were growing quarter after quarter, year after year, and then we peaked, and then there's been lack of growth. And at that point, when, again, a company isn't continuously growing, then it's not attractive to investors in the stock market anymore. And it's just a really important concept to understand, because that is hard for people to understand that come from a traditional background of what's still making a ton of money. Why wouldn't I want to invest in it? Because it's not growing as a company. And they've expressed that not only during the earning reports, but now with their guidance. So you guys let me know down in the comment section, is Nike a stock that you want to add to your watch list? Or is it something that you're just going to let sit on the sidelines, and maybe once it begins to show more signs of potential recovery, we can follow up with it then? I appreciate your time. I hope that earned your thumbs up. And remember, if you ever want to watch me trade live right at market open, again, it's going to be the second link in the description down below. And as the NASDAQ market sold off today, one of my favorite things to do is, as NASDAQ market sells off, I like to go and jump into SQQQ. And today alone, I walked away with a little bit over $8,700 in the green. So I appreciate your time. Hope that earned a thumbs up. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team.